Howdy, this is Piper the Sailor Man, Sailor the Piper Man, coming to you once again. Hoping that you have a wonderful evening. It's about 10 o'clock, 10:30. My wife just left to do her night shift at the VA's hospital. Smoking a Rossi Canadian with a value pack tobacco. This is a shout out to the tunnel. Wonderful man. Went out camping. He just put up a video, went camping, did what he had to do, and he began talking about how we put value on things, or we don't value things, and I tend to agree with him. Now I'm talking about human nature. We tend to put value on things. So I'm gonna tell you a true story that happened to me at Della Concha Tobacconist. First of all, I want to thank God for having me an opportunity to work in the industry in the 1990s. Work hard enough to where the owner, it was a family-owned business, and I helped him develop from the real retail store to be online service. Obviously, they sold out to Davidoff. Davidoff bought them out, and it's no longer in existence. But I learned so many things working as a tobacconist, observing people, observing customers, their likes and their dislikes. So I'm gonna tell you a story. There was one month, I believe it was 1996. The owner of the store, Mr. Melini, was given a good deal buying tobacco. And he was always cognizant that everybody on Avenue of the Americas in Manhattan, he had customers that had been with him from the beginning who just couldn't afford to pay high prices in tobacco. So he went down to Louisiana, talked to some people new, went to the Carolinas. He was able to purchase 1.5 tons of this tobacco, Virginia blend, Virginia and Burley, and all kinds of Burleys, all kinds of Virginias, White Red Virginias, and he wanted us to come up with a blend, maybe adding a little Cavendish, and we did. And at first, he bought these Ziploc bags, put a tag on it, gave it a name, and we put it in the store. And we put it besides other name brand. And when it came down to it, it was pretty good tasting tobacco too. Mild, sweet, inexpensive. You can get, we sell them at 12 ounces for $10. But back then, it wasn't too bad. And people wouldn't buy it. They go for the same tobacco, Virginia, Burley's, and I realized it was the packaging. The beautiful Rocky Morton packages and things like that. And I realized we tend to put labels, we tend to want to be coaxed to be impulse buyers. And we kind of like demean certain things that we don't place value. So I went back to the office and Mr. Melendi, let's try repackaging. So we had computer, did some graphics, had a graphic designer, put a big label on it, beautiful. A little tape, Mr. Melendi, this is honed down Virginia tobacco for old school tobacconists. That's what we did. And guess what? Because his picture was on it, and there was a picture of a creek, people started buying it because they could relate to Mr. Melendi, who they knew, and they could relate to backwoods, country. People ate it up. People tried it, kept coming back, and we ran out of it. People were so upset. Why am I saying this? Because we tend to categorize things. Karl Marx said, not that I'm a communist, but it made sense at the time when I read it as a Communist Manifesto. You know, even the oddest people can have some truths in what they say. He said, history is the history of class struggle. What I mean by that? There was a time where I had a well-to-do customer. He came in. He says, I'm ready to buy a pipe. I'm ready to buy. So I told him, okay, I'm going to give you a value pipe, nice pipe, smoking pipe. And it won't cost you a lot of money. And he just stoically looked at me. I showed him the pipe, opened the pipe, this and like that. And he goes, why are you selling me an inexpensive pipe? I said, don't say it's inexpensive. Say it's value. It's a value pipe. You're getting your money's worth. He says, I don't want my money's worth. I want an expensive pipe. And I said to him, why do you want an expensive pipe when I'm giving you something that costs less, but it's going to give you great smoke? He couldn't comprehend that. So he wanted to go to the Dunhill. He wanted Dunhill. He wanted stuff from Davidoff. He would come in and buy cigars, Davidoff cigars. He would buy products from the most expensive. He wanted a light. He wanted a Dunhill lighter. You know, there's other good lighters out there. You know, he wanted the best. Even though he was going to get ripped off, that's what he wants. And we tend to do that with pipes. We put labels on things, and some things we devalue, and other things we put more emphasis on it. And I realized selling seconds. Because nobody in the store wanted to sell seconds. First, it costs less, and it's harder to get customers to buy it. So I said, I'll take seconds because I had love for seconds. I understood the value of briar. Every time these trees get cut down, people don't realize it. A lot of this stuff that's cut down is thrown away, or it doesn't make the grade. That's why I like Bones, Morgan against Bones Company, because they take what people consider non-essential. Let's get rid of it. And he put value on it, and he found out that even though some might have pit, they just smoke as good, as well, even better than many Dunhill pipes, many Sherlock Holmes pipes that I've smoked. And people will not believe that a second can smoke as well as a brand pipe, or Don Carlo, or Castello, or Nordy. They just don't want to accept the fact that a lot of these briars used for seconds, though they don't make the grade because of coloring, whatever. You put a hole through it. You put a hole through the top, through the shank. Put a vulcanite, which is just as fine as an acrylic. You can smoke it and really enjoy a good smoke. And I say to myself, what value did the first Europeans put on the first tobaccos they had? Nothing. They tried it and they liked it. Where did it come? It wasn't processed. It wasn't canned. It wasn't, packaged. They just brought it back to England, did what they had to do to get people to smoke it. It was the in thing. After a while, that capitalizations, the branding came into place. This is better than that, better. This is why. And so people buy into that. They buy into the hype. And we buy into the hype. A 4-cylinder can get you to the same place that a V8 can get you. One which might be more powerful, a supercharged car, a Challenger, or a Camaro can get you to the same place as a Volkswagen. But we don't tend to value things like that when we come into money. We come into prestige. It's an ego thing. So the tunnel was talking about that, to stay humble, and I agree. I totally agree. There's nothing wrong with tobacco. Tobacco is tobacco. It comes from the ground. It comes from the same place. We put value on it, and somehow, because we put certain value on it, we perceive that it tastes better. Yeah. And I say to myself, some of my customers are delusional. I remember giving a guy, I needed to sell. And he was like, I like Partagas. So I told him, yeah, but I got Cubans. What? You got Cubans? I go, yeah, I didn't like him. He was always, I don't know, some customer, you can't get along with everybody. So, here's the Cuban. So he didn't buy the Partagas. He bought my Cuban for twice as much because I said it was Cuban. The perception, it's a good tasting cigar, but it wasn't a Cuban. But the mere fact that what I said had weight, He bought it and smoked it and kept smoking it. Came back, he kept buying it. I never said anything because I didn't like it. I didn't do that to everybody, but just to him. And so we put value on things or devalue people based on the color, based on where they grew. Take for instance, a movie came out and I saw it. King Richard, about the two famous sisters, Williams sisters, and playing playing tennis, and people were judging them first of all the color of the skin, second of all that they're women, third of all the fact that they grew up in Compton, and he was ostracized because he wasn't a coach. Yet he brought his daughters along with certain values, and the fact that he learned to become a great coach, they couldn't understand why he would buck the system and not have his daughters play the young tour, for youth tour. And he said, no, they're going to go straight. They're going to be professionals. And he was right. The same thing with Tiger Woods' father. Now, Tiger Woods' father had the means to get his son into the country club, but he was perceived, oh, a young kid, he's just going to take this hobby. He's going to amount to much. And when I saw him in his first professional masters, he won the damn thing. So, people's perception of people, like I said to myself, what would have Jackie Robinson done if all that pressure wasn't on him? What would have Lee Elder, I think he was a famous golfer, black golfer, who received phone calls threatening him at Augusta? What would have happened to him if he would have been nurtured and there was no racism, there was nothing that he had to psychologically overcome? He probably could have been twice as good, let alone be good enough to be a professional golfer. So we tend to do that with tobacco. Oh, well, I don't know, this doesn't taste good. Hey, we done that with Captain Black. It was the main thing at one time. Now you talk to some people, Captain Black, isn't that over-the-counter pharmacy tobacco? Dr. Graybo, which was the mainstay, oh yeah, that's the pipe that used to be sold in pharmacies and goodie stores, and we tend to demean him and devalue Briar. They've been making it was great back then, and it was the main pipe, and now it's devalued. Thank God we haven't done that with the corn cob yet. And so, like he said, give yourself a chance. Humble yourself. Give it a shot. Try it. You'd be surprised that you might like value tobacco, and you might like seconds for pipes. That's all I got to say. I learned being in this business a long time. You'd be surprised what smokes good. You'd be surprised what does not smoke good. You'd be surprised what good tobacco is. And when somebody is trying to sell you, what's it called, a lime, and your perception is, oh, it's great tobacco, and you're horrid. So, word to the wise, don't judge the book by its cover. This is Sailor the Piperman, Piper the Sailor Man, coming to you tonight, hopefully you can look at a woman, though she might not be the prettiest woman. You can have a great personality. She could like what you like. She could be more valuable to you than Bo Derek. Ciao.